Hi everyone. It's me, that divination witch. I hope you're doing well. I am back with another episode in our Keys of Life podcast. If you're new to the podcast, we are talking with people from all walks of life about their spiritual journeys, spiritual path, just to show that there's no right or wrong answers here. I'm joined by the amazing Annie or Grumpyoldcrone. She is so funny. I love her. I love her so much. And she's agreed to come on the show. So thank you. I will link Annie's YouTube below. Go subscribe because she's really, really one funny, but she knows her stuff too. And I'll put my stuff below as well. If you want to get a reading from me, that's what I do. All right, thank you. Okay, hi Annie. Hi, thanks for being here. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I've got my cup of tea in my favorite new mug. It says
Mm.
hexalotl on it because I love
Oh,
axolotls, and it's got a little witch hat on it and a cauldron. So I've got my cup of tea. All is good.
oh, that is cute. Axolotls are cute. Mind. Have
Are
you
they
got
though?
one?
I don't. I don't. My husband makes stories up for me about this group of singing axolotls called the axolitls, and they
Oh,
kind of they do like song and dance things. It's very sappy.
oh,
So we had to
cute
have the
though.
axolotl mug.
Oh, I like that. Well, I mean, I've just got a glass of water with my little cute thing on. I don't know if you know what that is.
Oh, oh, it's
Uh,
cute.
yeah, it's a cinema roll. It's a Hello Kitty's friend. He's a dog. He's apparently a dog that can fly because he's got big ears.
Oh, oh, he's so cute. I love him.
So, well, I'm gonna get into this then. So, for you, uh, as a human being, obviously, like, what would you say your path is, or your spiritual path? Like, if you had to label yourself or whatever, like, how would you describe yourself?
That's difficult, isn't it? I'm out there as saying I really hate labels,
I
because I
know.
don't I don't like being the idea of people kind of being driven into like this one tiny little niche area, and then there's all of this other amazing stuff that they might miss. But if I was gonna, how do I label I always say I'm a Gaian as regards my religion,
Yeah.
because I like it when every now and again, because I moved from the middle of nowhere into the city, which means that I now get Jehovah's Witnesses knocking on my door,
All right.
which is amazing. It's like the best form of comedy known to man. And they knock on my door, and there's like three of them there standing in badly fitted suits, all looking super earnest. And they knock on the door and they say, "We just want to ask you about, have you got any religious leanings?" And I can't say, yes, I do have some religious leanings. And they say, "Oh, do you believe in God?" "I believe in goddess." And they always say, "Well, I don't think you can prove that, can you?" And I say, "Standing on a man. This is Gaia. I can prove, but can you prove yours? I don't think you can." So yeah, it's that. So I'm a guy, and I believe in the earth. I'm also kind of quite into the idea of James Lovelock's idea of the earth being almost like a sentient organism that kind
Yeah.
of we all exist as part, we're all tiny cogs on part of this whole thing. And I kind of think that's very, it's almost kind of druidic in a sense, that idea that we're all part of one thing, and if
Yeah.
one thing is out of balance, then everything else is messed up. So yeah, it's, I suppose that's where I am religiously. Witchcraft, I started out, oh my God, so long ago. Back, as my kids would say, when dinosaurs roamed the earth. Um, Back in the like the mid 80s. And I was Wiccan because that's all there was then. Well, I mean, it wasn't obviously, but that's all we ever saw. If you were lucky, you had like one slightly new age shop. As a friend of mine once said,
Yeah.
new age now, it should be pronounced to rhyme with sewage, which no, that seems a bit rough to me. But I had like one new age shop in the place I lived, and all the books they had, the huge library they had, maybe 2 dozen books, and you got a bit of Wiki, you got a bit of Gerald Gardner, you got a bit of Crowley if it was on a good day, you got quite a lot of Starhawk. So that's kind of where that went, and then I mean, I've had like this weird path in and out of paganism and witchcraft.
Mhm.
Um, and so I'll go over that later if you're interested. But so I started out as Wiccan, then walked away from things for a while. And then when I came back, I looked at Wicca again and I thought, is this where I want to be? And I looked at it, and there's still a lot of truth in it. And a lot of it
Yeah.
still resonates for me, but it's not 100% where my head sits now. So
Yeah.
I guess I'm closer to a trad witch in my magical practice now.
Yeah.
But what I do love about the label thing is that it does. Oh, I'm sorry if there's any clonks. It's my husband going to the bathroom. If you ever watch my YouTube, it's anybody who think he's got some kind of terrible disease, the amount he goes to. He doesn't. It's just a very clonky bathroom door. So yeah, I think there's a lot of truth in Wicca, but it doesn't reverberate for me so much. But I do love
Mm.
the idea that now we have the labels. Much as I dislike being labeled, it does. People can be curious about it and they can look into things and they can say,
Yeah.
because I think a lot of people may have been trad witches before or folk witches or cunning people, but they didn't have the label for that. They didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
So I think it could be useful for that. So yeah, I guess Gaian trad witch, but I'm a really bad trad witch. I know.
No, well, I don't know. It's personal, isn't it? And I'm like you. I don't like labels, even though this is just a username for me. My jam is divination, but I wouldn't say I'm just that.
Yeah,
There's too many things out there, definitely. Uh, so I agree, but I think isn't that what we do as humans to try and understand, isn't it? But let's shove it in
exactly.
little categories.
Exactly. And that's what I love about paganism and witchcraft. And kind of everybody labels it with that concept of alternative, but it's not alternative, it's searching. And I love the fact that there isn't that, because in a lot of the big churchy religious institution, that's a great word, isn't it? Institutions. Um, there's this horror of moving away from it. Whereas I
Mhm.
think in paganism and witchcraft, there's it the idea that people can look at something and say, that worked for me last year, but
Mhm.
now I'm kind of changing a bit and maybe it doesn't work for me quite as well. So I'm allowed to change. And I really love that. I think that's what it should be.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. And that's what this is all about. It's finding your own way and finding what resonates with you. And yeah, everyone's
Exactly.
different. You can't just force yourself into a box.
Agreed.
Uh, yeah. So, I mean, it's funny you said about Wicca because I think a lot of us, I mean, I started in the 90s and all I had was Wicca too. So I think we've all been down that road. Uh, did you like pursue it any further? Because I've had someone on the podcast who ended up being a Wiccan priestess and then all of this and then fell out of love with it sort of thing. Like did you end up doing that or was it just a bit of a
No, I didn't go the kind of the the proper circles, priestesses, hierarchy kind of thing. Because back then I was very much a solo practitioner. So I didn't have anybody. And that's something that um even now I kind of feel the lack of is I love that sense of being in a group and belonging.
yeah.
And I think there's a lot of us dotted around. And that's the joy of the internet is it can bring a lot of people who are very separate physically, can bring them into an emotional and reverberating space. So I don't know, I'm finding it difficult to kind of there's a whole lot of concepts in my head that trying to find words to do it, but it linking together. I missed if I'd had the information then that I have now, I would probably have found a coven and gone down the line of some kind of priestess
Yeah,
training.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't. And now the problem is I've got a bit of an imposter syndrome now.
No, no.
So, I want to do it, but I don't know. I'm just a bit old and grey and crinkly now, aren't I? So, I
No.
don't
It,
know.
it that doesn't like well, to me age doesn't matter. But also like I'm the same as you in that regard. Like I get imposter syndrome. I think a lot of us do. Just recently I did my first in-person like market thing. I met some spooky people local that I didn't even know existed. I met another witch and had some healing off her, and we might be collabing and stuff. And I'm like, oh, what if I'm not good enough? She was like, do you want to run some classes on Hecate? And I'm like, oh my God, but what if I'm not good enough?
Oh,
Right? You
do it. I'd
know,
sign up. I'd totally
yeah.
sign up. Do that.
Oh, well, fingers crossed then. I'll get my finger out.
Yeah.
I'm trying. I am trying. But yeah, it's that imposter syndrome. Even when I do readings for people, I get so many good reviews, and then I'm like, oh, but what? Oh, is it though? You know? Yeah.
Yeah. We're
Right.
our own worst critics. But
Definitely.
yeah, you're brilliant. Yeah, totally do it.
Oh,
I'd sign up
you
for that
too.
in a heartbeat.
And you too. And I'd join your coven. I'd be like,
Yes.
yep, yep. Annie, you can be in charge. That's cool.
No.
Oh, unless you don't want to be. Eh. So have you actually like is there any local well, I think you've answered that, but is there any like Coveney people next to you, or have you actually gotten involved with stuff like that?
I'm yeah, you see, part of my imposter syndrome is that I'm aware that I can be quite a lot and I can be quite loud. And I don't want to put people
Sorry. I know, but
I,
I love that about it. Like I love see, I think that's class, basically. Yeah, I think that's what
fabulous. I love you. But
we
I'm aware because what I do for a day job is I lead choir groups. And so I have to be like really loud and really extra and in people's faces because I kind of like drag a whole group of people emotionally along with me on like a musical sort of journey. Um, but when you take that, it's okay in front of 50 people. You put it in front of three in the corner of a pub, and I'm quite a lot. So I kind of I worry about putting people off. But I would love to. There are some groups around here, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm quite judgy as well. That's the other problem. You probably got that from my YouTube. I'm quite judgy.
but it's
I,
funny.
I've got
You say
I,
things like I've been judgy, I have, and I got mega backlash for it before. But
yep.
yeah, but you say it in a funny way, and it's what people's thinking.
So my worst nightmare fear is that I say, yeah, let's get together, let's do something, and a whole group of people that I don't know that well turn up, and they're all in polyester cloaks. That's the thing, because I've got this really bad thing about polyester cloaks. That if they all turn up and then we light a sacred fire and then they all go up like Roman candles, that would be a terrible, terrible thing.
Oh my
So I judged the polyester cloak like so. It was like my first judgy video, and so many people have contacted me on YouTube. And I've got to say, I found a wonderful thing on YouTube. You've got like layers on YouTube. You've got in your comments section, you've got the comments, which are fine, and then you can answer and you meet lovely people and you have conversations with them. It's brilliant. Then you've got the hidden comments, which are the ones where you put I've got in mine, if anybody says Jesus, then I want to see this before it goes onto
Uh,
my
the
comments.
filter thing. Yeah,
The
yeah.
filter thing. And then below that, which I mean, I'm a bit of an idiot, but I've only just discovered is what I like to refer to as the seventh circle of hell, which is the we think offensive things have been said here. What do you think? Kind of like seventh circle of hell YouTube comments. And, oh, that was a hot mess. I looked I looked at that. Oh, people don't like me. So it was. I'm the first one to put my hands up and say I'm a gatekeeper. You know, everybody says that like it's a bad thing, and it is to a certain extent a bad thing. But I also think there are limits. There are limits. Crayons, colouring books are great for relaxation. They're not. They're not magical workings. I'm not going to swear. They're not magical workings. So there's I am quite judgy about things like this. So I think if everybody turned up in polyester cloaks with coloured in books of shadows, I think,
Yeah.
I think probably be me that went up like a Roman candle. They'd probably set fire to me. Wouldn't be good.
You know what I've got in my head? If you've ever seen Inside Out, the Pixar film Anger or whatever, where everybody
Yes,
sets on fire.
yes,
That's
that.
you.
That would totally be me. Totally.
Yeah. I think so stuff like that, my take on it though, like look, it's all right for relaxation, bit of fun, but it's not serious. You might get, I don't know, maybe a hint from it if you're a beginner, but
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
when I started, which is not that different from when you started, a book of shadows, you copied out somebody else's,
Mm.
by hand. And if the person whose book of shadows you were copying out was like a left-handed doctor, you were screwed because you couldn't do
You're like, what the hell
it.
is this? Yeah.
Exactly. I 3 pinches of what widdershins around the what, and so yeah, that's kind of where I come from. On that, mind you, my book of shadows is shameful. It's just I'm not very artistic, so it's kind of like scribbled things and things stuck in, and
Yeah.
coffee stains and what have you. So occasional bits of incense have dropped onto it and burnt holes in things.
Well, like to be honest, I don't even don't really have one anymore. Like I have one, but I
Yes.
don't even use it. Like I don't. So for me, I
Yes.
mean, and I teach this on like to anyone who asks me sort of thing. Like, look, a book of shadows is for me, I was getting like overwhelmed to be honest with it, and I just go with the flow. Like I'm a bit chaos magician-y in
Love
a way
it.
because well, I normally work with Hecate. I'm just channeling what she says. So to me, like, oh, do this in this order with this. Once you know your things, you're like, yeah,
Right.
yeah,
It's why I never understand why people say, right, we're going to do our book of shadows and we're going to write down the phases of the moon.
yeah.
I'm
Well,
thinking,
like
why
once you
would you do?
know,
Exactly. Either you know it or you don't. And if you don't, get an app. It's way easier. Just
yeah,
it's why would you do that? And because you're never going to refer back to that going, oh, look at that crescent in the
no.
sky. I wonder what that means. I shall refer to my book. You won't. You just go, okay, it's
Mhm.
waxing, it's waning. This is the flavor of the working I should do. And that's where you go. So I don't, yeah, I think a lot of it is redundant. And as I've
Yeah.
said before, and I apologise for any hate on this, is I do think
Oh,
a lot of people who do that, they're frustrated scrapbookers.
mm.
They kind of and they lose control of themselves in that aisle of hobbycraft. And I would like to say that I too have lost control of myself in hobbycraft.
Yeah.
Bad things have happened to my credit card in that shop. So
Yeah.
I understand it, but it's just like you say, it's fun, it's nice. It doesn't have to be a magical working, really.
No, it's not everything. I mean, witchcraft is a craft at the end of the day, and everyone's going to be different. It's like, well, arts and crafts, everyone's, it's different. But yeah, it's not to be taken serious in that, not to me, anyways. But honestly, like, I don't think anyone should send hate for that.
Yeah.
To me, I mean, hmm, I've had a whole video made about me before, so yeah.
Really?
So yeah,
Was it good or was it bad?
I got called a dark occultist.
Oh, go you!
I know, right?
I feel
Oh,
you need a badge.
yeah. It helped me network with some people because it was me and another bloke putting it who is left hand path. Oh, we were dark occultists. Just someone. Long story short, I try not to give her credit, but there is someone on YouTube who she is very fearmongery and she says she's a witch and she did a video about Hecate and she basically called her evil and said Hecate attacked her and all this shit. And so me, like, I know, right?
So
uh,
shocked.
I responded to it and like I just played her video. I didn't even monetize the video, it's still up. And on the back of that, she made a video mainly about me and this other guy who's responded to her before. But it was proper mean girls. Like she went through my TikTok because I've been on TikTok longer, and I used like she dug through my TikTok to get some daft video of me with Viking style makeup on from fucking years ago and that, and like when someone like pauses the video so you're like got double chins or doing a stupid I know it was like that all the way through. So wait till you get that level, Annie, trust me.
Oh
But I'll
man.
be with you, man. We'll both be in the video.
I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous. I'm going to have to ask you for a link to that, because
Yeah.
I'm always up for a bit of sarcastic commentary on Grumpy Old Crone.
Yeah. Oh, I bloody loved your other because that return the stone thing happened. I mean, I made a video about it too. Uh, yeah, I
Woman.
know some of the people that were who I've just spoke with last night actually for the podcast, but some of the people who were involved in like getting it back on TikTok, it was a whole thing.
Yeah. And that's the thing that really irritates me is so many people claiming to be trad and having no clue. And people who are unwilling even to read and to develop their craft and to research and just to talk to other witches. There's none of us know everything. And while I'll go out and I'll say, yes, I know this thing, blah blah blah, I'm very happy to be corrected in my comments. I did a whole thing about boiling marigolds in simmer pots, because simmer pots was not a thing when I
Yeah.
started. And I was a bit sarcastic about it. And somebody slid into my comments and said, you know what, I live in an apartment, we've got smoke detectors, can't light incense, I can boil things, and the smell really puts me in the right zone for doing spell working. And I looked at that and I thought, yeah, actually, you're right, I'm wrong. I absolutely accept that. So nobody knows everything. Everybody should be prepared to be corrected at one point or another. And if you're just going to go out there and be judgy about other people and unpleasant and take pictures of them halfway through going like,
Oh,
and
yeah, it
that
is. It
just
is. It's
sucks.
so, yeah, I hope you never have to encounter that person. Sorry if I don't know if you heard that in the background, someone's motorbike really loud there.
I've still
Uh,
got a toilet visiting husband, so it's
well, I can't hear anything, so we're all
excellent.
good.
No, in that case, he didn't go. It's fine.
But yeah, I hope you never have to encounter that because there are some, the internet out, you're gonna get shit basically.
It's a
It's
wild
the
west
internet.
out there, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Well, okay, I'll change the subject in a way. I'm gonna ask you, do you have a favorite thing to do in your craft? Because for me, it's divination. Apart from that, I've been doing a lot of transmutation, been delving into this realm of because of all this negative energy that gets thrown at you. I'll take that
Mm,
energy and flip it round like Uno reverse it. So yeah,
love it.
that's what I've been doing.
Love
But
it.
do you have a fave thing?
I am proclaimed. I am a self-professed tarot nerd. So,
Mm.
I feel you. So this tarot happens every day in this house. Bloody love it. In fact, what have I got? There is, oh, this is my latest love. I did buy myself
Mhm.
Venable Wen's Spirit Keepers Tarot, which
Mhm.
I love. It's more than I should have paid, but I do love. But I have now got I bought myself the Slavic Legends
Oh.
Tarot, which
Mm.
is just the most gorgeous kind of like black art kind
Mm.
of thing, and it's just glorious. So yeah, we always do tarot in this house. My daughter's a reader as well,
Mhm.
so I love that. And in craft, I do a lot of sound work in connecting with ancestor spirits as well. I've started working less with deity and more with ancestor spirits and house spirits.
Yeah.
So I did a video on contacting Domovoy and Bubach. I don't have any Russian blood, I have to say. I am half Welsh, but I really resonate quite strongly with a lot of the Eastern European fairy tales because they're a
Mhm.
lot darker. I feel they're a lot more original. We've sanitized a lot of our kind of mid-European fairy
Mm.
tales. And whereas they haven't, they've kind of embraced the darkness of it. And so I really love that. And I've been doing a lot of work with that. And they have the whole concept of house spirits, bath spirits, stable spirits. And you have a spirit for every environment that you're going to be in. And that's where you pay your respects and your obeisance. And
Mhm.
we work, I'm going to say but my husband, is he really doesn't like labels, really doesn't like labels. If it was going to be anything, would probably be vaguely druidic, vaguely shamanic, somewhere in the middle there. He channels a lot. And so we both work with the Domovoy now, with our Bubach, our house spirit, because the reason why I keep saying he's going to the bathroom a lot, he has a lot of eye issues, and at the moment he's got a really bad eye infection. He can only wear a contact lens, he can't wear glasses, and so he's got this contact lens, and we lose it. Well, I say we because I had to go and help him look for it. He loses it constantly, and the default setting is when he loses it is find the whiskey, pay obeisance to the Bubach, to the Domovoy, and say, grandfather, can you help us find this damn contact lens because it's gone again? And 9 times out of 10, when my husband will have been searching for, I don't know, half an hour for this damn thing, I'll pour the whiskey out to the Bubach and I'll walk into his office and bang, right there in a place that he's looked 10 times. And we see him now. It's come to the point where we pay enough obeisance. I think any spirit, if you pay enough attention, you build the relationship with them, they will start to manifest within the lines of sight, within the lines of hearing. You're always aware when they're there or when they're not, I feel. But certainly we can see them now. You sit there and I'll be reading a book and all of a sudden I'll see something run past. And it's not a cat because cats are that big, and the Bubach is about that big and on 2 legs, and I'll see him run past. and I love the feeling of our house now, that because our house was a very sad, unloved place when we bought it, and we put a lot of work into bringing it alive, and yeah, so I do a lot of work with ancestor spirits and home spirits, and I'm starting now to work on bringing my garden alive. I mean, I've always been a keen gardener, but when I say alive, I mean embodying the spirit in there and giving the spirit somewhere to be. So I do a lot of work with that, and I find that really fulfilling as well.
Oh, it sounds lovely. You remind me of my friend. She is from Wales. She's Welsh, and valleys, and there's a lot of fae around there. I mean, I just call them all fae, but we know there's loads of different ones, and they protect her boundaries. And she asked them, please look after the garden, and it went all like a wilderness. This garden, they got carried away. Yeah. But yeah, I agree. For me, I don't know if you live in a city, but I moved to a city and I get a bit overwhelmed. My little area, I mean, I live in an apartment. It's like a bubble of my energy. And, I work with Hecate and I'm mainly with deities, but because there's a lot of lost spirits in the city. There's a hell of a lot of history here, and they'll just wander in if I don't have a boundary. So I feel a bit disconnected like that. So do you have any tips? Because I am asking for me now. Like,
Yeah, I do a lot of boundary work. In fact, I've just bought the best. And this is the only kind of place you can say this. I've just bought the best coffin nails. Can't say that to people in the street, can you? But I bought the best coffin nails, and I'm going to nail the edges of my property. And I live in a city, and I live in like a little terrace, a Victorian terrace, tiny little yard at the back. And so I'm going to put in the corners of the property, I'm going to put the iron nails, because I think it tends to keep in what you've already invited in and keep out what needs to be out. And if you've got things above and below you, it might be worth doing something in the corners of your apartment as well. So high corners as well, so things can't, because sometimes things will sink down, I think, and come up. So I tend to do that, and I've bought a whole load of them because I'm going to go and do it for a friend of mine who's had just this longest run of really obvious bad luck, and I don't think it's working against her. It feels very much like there's something in her space that needs to not be in her space. So I'm going to go and nail her space.
Nail it.
literally. But I need to take all the nails up to the cemetery first, and I like to bury them, give them 24, 36 hours in grave. Unfortunately, I don't live close to my where I was brought up. I was brought up down, as you can probably tell from my accent, I was brought down in the southeast, and now I'm living in the Midlands. So normally what I would do is particularly with where my craft is at the moment, I would take them down to my parents' grave, and I would put them there, and I would ask for help with that. But I can't do that now. But I can find what I think is a good place and a good spirit, and I can spend a little bit of time working with that and ask for permission to do that, and then bury them for 24, 36 hours, take them up again. They've had a little bit of that spirit imbued, and then use them to guard and ward, and and tag locking mirrors as well. Always
Oh yeah, but I've literally done it as well, like with a paint pen. Yeah, I mean I've tried all. I've got all sorts up. I just wondered your take on things. Like there's this one. I think it's a bit funny, but it worked. It was out of a Norse. So a Norse practitioner gave me this tip once because I had a negative entity coming after us, and this is ages ago now, and I had to deal with that. And I put literally what they did is a butter stone. So you get a stone and you put butter on it, and that is like a ward. That's what people use. I know, a buttery stone.
I love it.
It worked. This buttery stone. I remember going, does it need to be salted butter? I use salted butter though, but yeah, like if there's fantastic ideas out there, and Butterstone.
And what I love is when you look at these practices, and I love delving into them and finding out why, and kind of like trying to find the sense in it. And that makes sense to me because the stone is kind of like of the earth, but butter is like one of those traditional Fey offerings. So so what you're literally doing is you're kind of connecting the earth and the Fae and spirits, and making an offering to those and asking for a little bit of protection in that. And that, you see, that makes perfect. It sounds daft when you say a buttery stone. You say that to any normal person, and I'm going to Lidl. I'm just buying this butter to butter a stone to protect my hair. They think we were mad, but I can absolutely see why that would work. And I think we've become very disconnected from adding those little bits together and making a wonderful protective whole. People need to ask why they do things a lot more. And that's one of my sorry, I'm veering off. I apologize.
No. So well, that's why I don't know. I like it. Go.
It's one of the things I really dislike is people who they'll find something on the internet and they'll just do it, and they've got no idea why. And the classic example, and there's a friend of mine down in the south who every first of the month we say Happy Cinnamon Day, because you will see in any witchy group people saying, now you have to blow cinnamon through your door. Why? Why are you blowing cinnamon through your door? If you don't understand why you're blowing cinnamon, why cinnamon? Why not basil? Why not garlic granules? Why not? I don't know, lob half a leg of lamb out. I don't know. It's just.
Sorry, you are so funny.
You know what I mean? So but I have no problem with it being cinnamon. But what I have a problem with is people not understanding why. And if if you get your herbal correspondences and you think, okay, cinnamon is something that speeds things, and it's a homely smell, and it's linked to the home and the hearth, and it makes you feel in the way like a good cinnamon apple pie makes you feel, kind of yum and homely, then I can understand blowing that in would be blowing some of that sensation into your house. And that why is important. It's the most important thing about any craft, in my opinion, is the why. But you get all these people who are saying, okay, now I'm going to get my cinnamon, and they stand at their front door and they go, and they blow it out. And I'm saying, but you're blowing all of your good feelings out of your door. You don't understand. If you knew the why, there's no point in just going through things by rote. You've got to
Yeah.
understand the why. You've got to have the feeling.
Yeah. And I think with that too, I think there's a bit of a danger in it. And I've covered this ages ago on my channel. Like the spells out there, you don't know what the hell they are. Like, especially if you're delving into the left-hand path side as well, and like sigil magic, things like this. Someone could be siphoning your power, your energy, like you don't know. And
Exactly.
people just, it's like blindly follow things. And that's why it's important to nail the basics, learn your correspondences of colors, candles, everything. And
Exactly.
then you don't need a book of shadows, like I said before, and you can use your intuition. So for me, actually, you mentioned Basil, the door thing. I mean, I thought, yeah, it's a good idea, even though they didn't have the Gregorian calendar once upon a time, but still we do. So
Yeah.
cool. All right, good idea. And I actually use Basil. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like because Basil is I use it in money workings. I've built a relationship with the Basil spirit, Basil brush.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, like to attract things in. Exactly.
Yeah.
But
It's that relationship is everything.
mhm. And it's just you find you build relationship with whatever it may be, through practice and through, I don't know, I'm always drawn to the color purple. Everything's purple, even though that's just a color really, but what's purple? Well, it's intuition, it's magic, it's psychic energy, that's what I'm working on. And yeah, just
But all color is vibration. So
yeah.
why purple will reverberate differently and vibrationally different to green or to yellow. So obviously those things are going to make us feel different because if if the whole concept of when you what is it is it the opposite of really high sounds, really low sounds, that concept, they make you feel uneasy, and that's what causes people to think that spaces are haunted sometimes. I don't know that I
Mm.
agree with that all the time, but I think there's something in it. Can't remember the word for it. It's not sub sound, it's something like that.
Like,
um
I don't know. You're the musician.
it's this idea that when you're in the earth, when you're underground, or you're in somewhere with very thick walls, you get like this subsonic sound that the human ear can't pick up, but the human body can detect, and it
Mm.
makes us feel very uneasy. And there's been a lot of stuff done about it. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to lose entirely where I was going. But it vibrations, that was it. So it makes us feel uneasy, and so we know we can feel that vibration and it makes us feel a certain way. So why would color vibration not make us feel something different? And I know for me it's green. I adore green. I've got a t-shirt on now, but I've my
Yeah.
whole top of my arm is a big green man. And
Yeah.
when I go out and I'm surrounded by green, or my office is green, it makes me feel really positive. It's something that works for me and I'm drawn to that. So yeah, I honestly think there's a huge amount of witchcraft, or things that we label as witchcraft now, that at some point in the next 100, 200 years, people are going to look at and they're going to say, actually, yeah, there's a scientific reason for all
Hmm.
of this stuff.
Hmm.
Because it does just work. And all of those people who say, oh, it's all rubbish, it's all bollocks, this doesn't work, it's woo-woo, it's this, that, and the other. No, just talk to any practitioner. It works. I
Hmm.
see my boober. You can't tell me I don't. I know what I can see. I know when I can find a contact lens. I know when I think my mother is with me, despite the fact she passed 10 years ago. I know this stuff. It's not a I think, I hope. I know it, like I know I'm out of tea, or I know I'm going to have something nice for lunch later. I know it. So
Yeah.
yeah, just that. So purple, go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Purple, purple, purple. And yeah, I believe too, like, yeah, well, magic, I don't know, it's the energy around us that's, well, it's energy. I mean, don't the Chinese call it like ki or, whatever? Uh,
Yeah,
Science will prove it one day. They will.
absolutely.
So I'm just conscious of the time. I'm just looking at the time. All right, we're nearly 50 minutes in. Is there anything else that like you want to share or you think might be useful for any witchy tips or whatever?
Oh, witchy tips. Yeah. Why? That would always be my question about any practice you do. Is ask yourself why you're doing it, rather than just blindly following anything. I mean, sometimes blindly following, like you say, can be very useful. Sometimes it can be really dangerous. I was I've purposely not named. I found this group on Facebook, and I'm not going to name it because I'm sure there's lovely people there, but there are also a lot of idiots. And, and somebody came in and said, "Can somebody recommend some beginner books?" And people were naming perfectly fine. I mean, much as I love my Scott Cunningham Encyclopedia of Herbs and Correspondences,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
use it all the time, I wouldn't say it's something that you're going to sit down and as your very first witchcraft book and read from cover to cover. I'm not. I think it would be a bit of a dry read in that case. But whatever.
Yeah.
But about halfway down this list of books, some were great, some were not so great. Somebody said Jason Miller, Consorting with Spirits. Now, I'm halfway through. I love Jason Miller. Now, if anybody listening hasn't encountered him, I highly recommend him as an author. He's an American. He doesn't call himself a witch. He identifies as a sorcerer.
Mm.
Um, because he says it's more of an intersectional feel to it. It's fair enough. You get to label yourself however works best for you. But he works very much on the left-hand path, and he works very much with spirits, and he always tends to outline things in three different ways: Christian, pagan, and Luciferian.
Mm.
And he will give primary sources from very old grimoires, kind of 16th century grimoires. Excuse me, I'm going to cough. Summoning various things, telling you how to put wards in place for other things, how and I'm reading it. I love it. There's a lot in that I would be quite wary about touching, because he's a lot deeper and he's a lot more careful about his wards than I think I am currently able to be. And I would want to do a lot more work on my protection magic before I even touch that. And somebody was recommending this as a beginner book,
Mm.
Luciferian Summoning for Beginners. No, no. As I often say, what could possibly go wrong? Quite a lot. Quite a
Yeah.
lot could go quite spectacularly wrong with that. So I would say be very, very careful about sources, about what you look at. And there's a lot of great people out there on YouTube who are giving their ideas about what beginner books are. And particularly when you're on a YouTube channel that's got a lot of history, got a lot of videos up there, you can make judgments about whether this person is on a similar path to you, whether it reverberates with you, or whether, they've got nothing in common with you and you don't want to pay attention to them, which has, happened to me on occasion. They're perfectly nice people. Their vibe doesn't sit with my vibe, and, that's fine. But yeah, if I was going to say anything to anybody, it's read a lot and be really careful about your sources, but don't just blindly trust, because there are people out there who will give you really poor advice, and there's people out there, as you said, with sigil magic and things like that, who will actually give you actually damaging advice because it
Oh, yeah.
benefits them. It
There's a
doesn't
lot
benefit
of
you.
people like that. Yeah, especially like on the. So I'd say if I had to label one of my many labels, I guess I'm grey witch. I have dealt with the left hand path. Like I've worked with what you'd call demons before and Luciferian
Hmm.
philosophies, I guess. And yeah, there are people on the left hand path who are totally con artists and scammers and like cults, basically. And it's
Yeah,
the ego doing that, and they're people don't realize they're taking your energy and boosting themselves up, basically. And
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, it's scary to be honest. And just to say as well, that author, Jason Miller, he is good, and he has a course on Hecate, just because I've got a channel about Hecate. Yeah,
Oh.
but he has his own, obviously, like you said, his own way of doing things. And I know people, I've not done his course. I don't feel drawn to do it. Nothing against it. People have rave reviews about it, but it's still very much his way of doing things. And there's other books out there like the Hecateon. I'm just talking realms of Hecate. That's an expensive bloody book. And I finally got this book, and it's just I forgot his name who wrote it, but the guy who wrote it, it's just his way of doing things with
Yeah.
Hecate, you know. It's his grimoire, it's his workings, it's literally a path. It's something 12 days before the new moon, and you do these things.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't know, don't just follow it blindly. You've got to kind of understand
Exactly
behind.
that. Exactly that. It's
Yeah.
all about the whys. And sometimes you'll delve into a why, and you go, that I just don't get it. I don't get it. And if you don't get it, if you can't see why something would work, then it's not for you,
Mhm.
And there's that other thing with when you read books as well, you don't, and this took me the longest time to understand, is that you don't have to accept the entire book. You don't, if you read
Yeah, you can.
something, you don't have to go, okay, I absolutely believe, whatever it might be, the poison path herbal from the beginning to the end is going to be my thing. I haven't actually read it. I might like the
I've
whole
got that
thing.
one. That's
Is it
good.
good?
Yeah.
That's
Referencey book. That's how I
yeah,
use it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So some things you're allowed to pick and choose what bits work for you. I remember, I mean, I did, oh God, bloody years attempting to be a Christian. I was the world's worst fucking Christian. Um, and because I wanted to be accepted, I lived in like this tiny, tiny village, and
Yeah.
that's what you did if you wanted to be part of the right mums group and the part. Yeah, so I did it, and I was shit. I was really shit. So what the Christians will tell you is that you can't pick and choose. You have to accept all of the Bible or none of the Bible. Which is absolute bollocks, because they all do whatever they like. They're all
Yeah.
going to tell you, well, you can't be gay, you can't be trans because that's against the Bible. But yeah, we're going to eat shellfish. And we're
Yeah.
going and
Wear
have tattoos
polyester.
and wear
Yeah.
polyester, yeah, mixed fabrics. That's fine. That's fine. We don't have any problems with anybody having slaves, but heavens forfend, you should let somebody see your bottom. It's bollocks. So yeah, it's pick and choose the bits that work for you. I think
Yeah.
is really important. As you say, we're all of our paths are different, and I think if more religions and more actually religions is too tight a word. If more spiritual paths accepted that we were allowed to pick and choose the things that work for us, and
Mm.
also accept that the things that work for us do not work for other people, wouldn't the world be a nicer place? It's
Mhm.
it's that trying to inflict our whys and wherefores on other people is the the base of so much evil in the world.
Mm.
I think we should accept that everybody's a little bit different on
Yeah.
so many different levels, on every level.
As long as you're not hurting anyone, that's the way I see it. Uh,
Agreed.
yeah, mainstream religions are very much like what you've said. I know there's other Abrahamic ones like that, isn't there? It is. But then I know a lot of, look, I'm gonna just say it. I know a lot of Muslim people who you're not meant to drink alcohol, but they go get pissed, and like you know what I mean.
Yeah,
It's one of them things. It
got a
is.
few Jewish friends who are very into a bacon sandwich.
Exactly. Exactly. Uh yeah, it's sad really. It's all about I feel personally they came about because of controlling people, and yeah, it's about control. Yeah.
Exactly that.
Well, I'm gonna say bye to you now, if that's okay. All right. But thanks so much, Annie, for being here and chatting. And I want you to come back. I do, because I love you to bits. I think you're amazing. I've just blew
Oh,
blew smoke up your ass. I didn't mean to, but I did.
yay! It's lovely to meet you in person. Faces, and it's
I,
brilliant.
I
Love that.
know, I know. Oh, well, thank you. And to anyone listening or watching, thanks for doing so. You know what to do. Click bloody subscribe, please. And yeah, I say at the end of my videos, stay safe, stay witchy. Bye.